After my husband died in a car accident, I worked tirelessly running a small restaurant to raise my son, Henry. Right before Henry's wedding, I won 8 million in the lottery. Thrilled, I decided to sell the restaurant and finally enjoy retirement. So, I called to tell Henry about selling the restaurant. His usually polite fiancée turned hostile. "You're not expecting us to support you, are you? We barely started working." She even warned Henry, "If you spend any of our money on your mom, the wedding's off." Henry argued with her but then reassured me, promising, "You've worked hard enough, Mom. I'll take care of you." Feeling pretty good, I planned to give him 2 million to start a business. The next day, I got a call saying Henry had been in a serious car accident and urgently needed 50,000 for surgery. I sent the money immediately, but afterward, Henry vanished. Desperate, I braved a storm to find him in his city, only to walk into a wedding at some fancy hotel. There's Henry, giving a toast and calling another woman Mom. And, oh, sitting beside her? My dead husband from 10 years ago. After scoring 8 million in the lottery, I sold the restaurant I'd been running for, 20 years. Then I started hunting for a 3-story house for Henry, a place he could settle into once he got married. That night, I gave him a call. "Henry, I closed up the restaurant today. Thought I'd come crash with you for a bit." "Cool, closed it? What, did it go under or something?" he asked, totally thrown. "Yep. Sold it at a discount," I replied with a hint of playfulness. "Honestly, I've been running it solo for years, I'm wiped. Feels like the right time to retire. And with your wedding next month, I don't even have to worry about asking for time off." Before I could finish, I heard Tina, my future daughter-in-law, shout in the background, "Retire? You're not even 50. Don't tell me you're planning to mooch off us already?" Her words left me speechless for a second. Tina and Henry had met right after college and dated for 2 years before getting engaged last year. We'd met a few times, and she'd always been super polite, sending gifts and holiday greetings. But now, her tone was sharp, almost hostile. Then again, I got it, she was probably just stressing about the future, worried about extra responsibilities after marriage. I was about to explain, dropping the playful tone, but before I could get a word in, Tina's voice cut through the line, shrill and icy. "I don't care. No way am I supporting your mother. If she even tries to come here, this wedding is off. I'll move out right now." Her words left a bitter taste in my mouth. Frustration, I could understand, but this felt extreme. Henry sounded annoyed too. "What's wrong with you? My mom's treated you like family these past 2 years, and we should take care of her, together." "Well, go ahead, you take care of her." "I'm not doing it." Their argument just kept escalating, and I could even hear stuff slamming around on his end. After a few minutes, Henry's voice came back, low and careful. "Mom, don't worry. She's just got a bit of a temper. But I know she cares about you deep down. I'll talk to her once she cools off, then we'll bring you over. You've worked hard your whole life, it's time you relax. I'll take care of you now." His words were so warm and genuine, they actually made my eyes sting. Just knowing he felt this way was enough. After we hung up, I figured I'd wait until they sorted things out, then tell Henry about the lottery. I'd even give him a couple $100,000 to help him finally start his own business. With this money, he wouldn't have to worry about cash anymore. And if anything went sideways, I'd be here to back him up. I thought I had everything under control. But Henry's next call brought nothing but disaster. On the other end, Tina's voice was shaking with tears. "Henry's been in a serious car accident. He needs 50,000 for surgery. Please, help us. Find a way to get the money." "What? How did this happen?" My heart dropped as I transferred the money immediately. The restaurant payment had just cleared, it was exactly 50,000. Tina didn't say another word. She just hung up as soon as the money went through. I tried to book a ticket to go see Henry, but a storm hit, canceling all flights and trains. I had no choice but to stay home, calling Henry and Tina over and over. But after that day, neither of them ever picked up. A week later, both their numbers were disconnected. A week later, the storm finally let up enough for flights to resume. I booked the first one out and headed straight to Henry's apartment. I knocked for what felt like forever, but no one answered. Finally, a neighbor walked by and stopped. "Are you sure you've got the right place? The people here moved out last week." My stomach dropped. "Are you positive?" She must have noticed the disbelief on my face, because she led me to her door and pointed. "Yep. Left in a hurry. They even gave me some furniture they couldn't take." I glanced over, and there it was, unmistakably Henry's stuff, piled up by her door. What could have happened that made him leave so suddenly? Was he in debt? Or caught up in something he couldn't escape? But even if there was trouble, why would he keep it all from me? Anxious and desperate, I thought about going to the police, but worried it might just make things worse for Henry. So, I hired a private investigator instead, hoping they could track him down. We arranged to meet at a hotel, and when I mentioned to the agency that I was searching for someone, they brought extra staff to help. As I headed downstairs to meet them, I noticed a huge commotion in the lobby, a wedding, by the looks of it. From across the room, I caught sight of the bride and groom, and my heart just about stopped. It was Henry and Tina. I froze, barely able to process it. But any lingering doubt disappeared when I saw Henry lift his glass to a middle-aged woman, saying, "Mom, here's to you." That woman. I'd recognize her anywhere. Mona Lott. My late husband Sebastian's high school friend and relentless shadow. When we were together, she tried every trick in the book to break us up, pulling him into constant drama and misunderstandings. Even after we married, she didn't stop. Once, while I was pregnant, she came by with nourishing soup, hoping to cause a miscarriage. Thankfully, I was cautious and didn't fall for it. But Mona wasn't done. After Henry was born, she tried to worm her way into his life, almost like she was trying to take my place as his mother. When Henry turned 5, we'd finally had enough. Our family moved to another city to get away from her for good. 2 months later, Sebastian was in a horrible car accident. Mona was involved too. The difference was, she walked away with minor injuries, while Sebastian was gravely hurt and died in the hospital before anyone could save him. She had no reason to be in the same city as us, yet there she was, right at the accident scene with my husband. I'd always suspected Mona had something to do with Sebastian's death, but I had no proof. And with Henry still so young, I couldn't chase answers. All I could do was bury that bitterness deep inside. And now, here was my missing son, cozying up to the woman I despised most, calling her mom. The cruelty of it hit me like a punch. I couldn't tell if I was more furious or heartbroken, but before I could even react, I looked closer and saw the man sitting beside Mona. It was Sebastian. The husband I'd buried over 10 years ago. My face went pale, and I staggered back, barely able to process what I was seeing. Mona spotted me almost instantly. Her face froze for a second, then shifted into a smug, triumphant smile as she leaned over and whispered something to Henry. In seconds, Henry turned. His eyes full of hostility. He stood up and marched right over to me. I've already moved on. Can you stop clinging to me like a leech? Are you seriously trying to drag me down until there's nothing left?